So what about military use?
Working on it. What's interesting is historically the 1911 was always considered the professional's gun. So like you go back 25 years ago, Delta was carrying custom 1911s, Marine Recon was carrying custom 1911s, FBI HRT and the U.S. Marshal SOG were carrying 1911s. And the perception of that was it's not just because it's America's gun, but it's like a professional will maintain it knowing that you have to lube a 1911 different than you have to lube a Glock 17 or it's not going to run right. But the trade-off is that accuracy, that shootability they get with it for a very unique specified role. 2011 is no different. I will say that most of your guns made by manufacturers today all have a very high level of mechanical accuracy. Whether it's an H&K, Smith & Wesson, a Glock, they're all mechanically extremely accurate compared to polymer guns 25 years ago. The difference is in how accurate can a human shoot that gun when they're under stress. And that's where you see the benefit of our platform. It's not just the feeling of, yes, it's lower recoil. Some of that's mitigated because of the linked barrel. Some of that's because of how the engineers have sprung the gun. And in a 1911 or 2011, you have more springs to play with to get that slide velocity where you want it. Some of it's through comps, and some of it is just through the weight of the gun over a polymer gun. All of those things compound into what you feel in your hand. Mechanical accuracy is all really, in all honesty, is about the same between all of them. You'll see more variance from ammo types than you will from gun types. But where you see a huge improvement is in the human performance accuracy shooting a 2011 or a 1911 because of that trigger and some other factors. So that's where we focused on. How do we make the human perform better with the gun? Knowing that if we just put our gun in a fixture, is it that much more accurate than a Glock or an H&K or a SIG or whatever else? Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. SIG, yes. Glock, not so much. H&K, not so much. But when you put it in somebody's hand and you have them shoot it, how they would shoot it in a real life thing, they perform oftentimes dramatically better. So because of that, we're getting military interest in our platforms today as well now too. So we have multiple units that are in active testing right now. Where it goes, don't know. We'll see. I'm sure there's some things we'll have to change, some improvements we'll have to make to get it all the way across the finish line. But the HD itself is crossing the bridge from 1911 trigger, 2011 shootability into polymer gun reliability, provided they're maintained. And now we're getting traction in those spaces because of that.
Yeah, I would imagine, trying to get staccatos in the hands of like big military, like, infantry, Marine units, stuff like that is a lot different than, maybe the CAG or the dev group guys that say, hey, like, let's give these a run. Can you make us something interesting? And, they have more, I guess, flexibility and certainly more budget in terms of what they can get in their hands. But
they do. I'd be willing to bet without knowing the true number, JSOC's budget is probably dramatically higher than the entirety of the Marine Corps' budget, would be my guess. When I was in the Marine Corps, got 3% of the Navy's budget. No clue what JSOC's budget is, but I bet you it's more than that. And so they have the latitude because they've all gone through very extensive pipelines, selection pipelines to get operators. Like that's not something I can't just enlist to go be a tier 1 operator. You have to go through a massive pipeline and screening to get there. They want to provide those guys the best equipment they can, as they should. Those guys can also create demands for, well, we want this, we want to test this, we want to try that. And if it meets their standard, it will be approved, but it has to meet their standard. And end state for us is we'd love to build a product that's so good, they want it and it meets their standard. And we've been working at that for a very long time and we're getting traction with it. I'm sure there's more work to go, but that's something we as a company do. And it all goes back to that initial thing that helped me get success, which is go ask them what they want and what they need. Now let's put an engineering team on it to figure out how to build it.
So anything you can say about that in terms of, the tier 1 guys, do they have those guns in their hands right now?
Yes. That's about all I can say. There are multiple units that are in active testing right now. Again, I won't know where it goes until it's done.
So what are you know, obviously performance and reliability are a bit reductive, but what is it that they're looking for?
They want something that under massive amounts of stress, they can perform better with. So for the longest time, Delta running 1911s was because of that trigger is so forgiving. Now, a 19, when I've made reference earlier to the 11-phase federal law enforcement testing. So the HD is the first 1911 based platform that's ever passed that test. You go back 25, 26 years ago when HRT and the U.S. Marshal SOG fielded 1911s off the shelf. They were Springfield professionals. That test was very different, and the performance standards were very different. That gun would not pass more than 3, maybe 4 of those 11 phases of testing. But like everything we see, different operational changes drive innovation because the demand for performance increases. So 26 years ago, nobody cared if it could pass a sand test. 20 years of war in the sandbox, and now the sand test is a very critical part of testing. Everyone has to pass that. So as we get into more and more extreme and austere environments that we're operating in at an operational level, all the equipment has to evolve to meet that as well. Not just firearms, all equipment. And that's where innovation is so important, because you have to innovate as fast as the demand from the end user is evolving, or you'll always be behind the power curve. And we're trying to get ahead of that as a company.
So I would imagine, and it sounds like you know, again, I'm not trying to put you in a position where you say too much, but so I would infer that maybe you're building stuff that is not on the civilian market that may at some point be, that those guys might be testing a little bit.
Yes. Some of it may not even be on the consumer market for a few years. Don't know. We'll see where it goes. But yes, there are things that we have been working on for the last 3 or 4 years that are not on the consumer market today.
How about that one, the video that Tulsi posted? I think you're a collaborator on this on Instagram.
That is the one.
Yeah, we haven't even seen that one before.
That is the one.
It's well, is it the 4.5 or is it a 5-inch with there's a comp on it, the HD, which is obviously not currently available.
It's around a 5-inch gun that she was shooting. That was one test mule of a gun. So that when at the time frame she was shooting that was the only one in existence. And most people just assumed it was what is the 4.5 today, but it is not. It is an HD. It is a full-size compensator, and it's just something. We have one sub-team of our engineering team that's been working on nothing but comp design and actually doing tests of various comp designs to see how it affects slide velocity and how it affects vertical movement, lateral movement in the pistol, dipping of the muzzle of the pistol, all those kind of things, and cataloging all that data so we can go back and look at, okay, what port sizes and what locations for what slide velocities and ammo type work best. So we have all that data, which would come into play when we get asked by a unit like that saying, we run this ammo, we want something to do this. We've already got all the data on what port sizes would work best for different size slides, all that kind of stuff.
Would they be running different ammo than just like your standard?
It just depends.
Okay.
I have seen no continuity in ammo types between any of those units. There's some that are using commercially available hollow point rounds. There's some that are just using the NATO 124 ball round. It's kind of all over the place because they have that kind of latitude. I would say through like the bull barreled HD stuff, pretty much anything works. There is some commercial ammo that is less accurate than others. There's some that's dirtier than others, things like that. And that's an ammo thing, not a gun thing. When you get into the compensated guns, things get a little bit pickier, especially longer slide compensated guns. Wouldn't recommend running 115 grain remanufactured puff shit through a 5-inch compensated gun. But duty ammo wise, everything runs. But we test everything.
So do you think that one that Tulsi is running might be coming to the civilian market anytime soon?
we'll see. If we ever get it where we want it, yes. But the thing we're doing different with the HD guns, the P4 passed that 11-phase federal test. Regardless of the gun in the HD lineup, we now use that test plus some other stuff that we do that come from the NATO testing spec. Every HD model has to meet that. So if it won't pass all of that, the mix of NATO and the 11 phases of the federal LE stuff, we keep working on it until we figure out how to do that, even if it's a full-size compensated pistol, because we want everything in the HD line at a bare minimum to exceed the current law enforcement criteria as well as the NATO criteria for broad DOD. So if and when it ever gets there, yeah, it'll be out.
What's up, guys? Thank you so much for taking the time to watch the interview. If you got anything out of this video at all, please like the video, leave me a comment, tell me what you thought of the video, tell me who you'd like to see on the show. I really appreciate the support. It goes a long way on these platforms, as you guys know. Most importantly, I have some amazing guests that are coming in for interviews in the very near future, so please subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of them. But that's it. I really appreciate your support. Thank you again for watching, and I hope to see you again soon.